Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's forum sponsored by the Wyoming Tribune Eagle and the Cheyenne League of Women Voters for the 2018 general election. Spectrum is recording the forum this evening and we'll be posting it on YouTube. Links will be sent to all the candidates and also posted on the League of Women Voters Facebook page. They will also be sent to people who send requests to CheyenneLWV@gmail.com. For the remainder of the run-up to the election, we have two more forums coming up. One is for House Districts 10, 41, 42, and 44, and that will be here at the Cheyenne Municipal Building and City Council chambers on this Thursday at the same time, 6:30. The other will be a week from today, Tuesday, October 30th, and that will be featuring the candidates for Laramie County District Attorney. That will be over at the Kiwanis House in Lyons Park, and that will start at 12:30 and will go till 1:30 p.m. Thank you to the city for letting us use these chambers tonight. Early voting continues in the county building atrium, and you can get a paper absentee ballot from the county clerk's office. You can also get information about where and when to vote from the clerk's office as well. General Election Day is November 6th, and just a reminder that the League of Women Voters, as well as the Wyoming Tribune Eagle, are nonpartisan organizations. And the League of Women Voters is open to all that works to help people get involved in their government, to be informed, and to vote.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just need to consult with the moderator.
Okay.
I just got an email from Jerry. He said he's coming at 7:30. So what we could do is hold that one. Since you want to do that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Do you think?
Want me to explain it?
Yeah, you want to explain it?
Okay, I'm sorry. Just a little change in the lineup real briefly. We just got a note from Jared Olson that he will be here, and so what I'm thinking is that Caleb, if you want to wait until your opponent gets here so that we can have you up together there head to head, I think that would work better, if that's okay with you.
It's whatever you guys would work best for you.
Well, I apologize for the shifting of the lineup, so if you just give us half a second, we're going to realign the name tags, and then Caleb, and when Jared shows up, then you can do a head-to-head, which I think it'd be more useful for the voters in House District 11 to see the two of you together. It'd be helpful to the voters. So if that's okay with you, and I apologize for the last-minute change-up.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay,
So,
cool.
Thank
all
you.
right.
I appreciate it.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry for this.
Oh, the roll.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I'd asked Jake. I know, I do videos. I'm
Really apologize.
okay.
Resuming.
Okay. We're back. And I forgot to introduce myself. My name's Katie, and I'm the criminal justice reporter at the Wyoming Tribune Eagle. And that was Marguerite. She's in charge of the league. Great. So our forum this evening, you guys are going to get 2 minutes to open, and then we will get a minute and a half to answer questions with 30 seconds to add anything at the end if you would like. But first, we're going to start with Jana, correct? Yeah, she's here on behalf of Clarence Stivar. He couldn't be here this evening, so she's going to read a short statement for him.
Hi, obviously,
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
that's fine. Obviously, I'm not Clarence Stiver, but I have known Clarence for 30 years. We had the privilege of serving in the 533rd MI Battalion together over in Frankfurt, Germany. I've known Clarence for over 30 years, and I actually helped train his wife to take my position when I left Germany. And he's written a bio, and it's in the first person, but I want to put it in the third person, so we'll do my best. If I make a mistake, I apologize. Clarence Stiver is 54 years old. He's been married to Kim for 26 years with 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys. Caitlin, 25, David, 24, Lydia, 21, and Matthew is 15. He was raised in southwest Wyoming and lived in House District 12 for 14 years. He's a graduate of Lyman High School and joined the United States Army in 1983. He served in the Army for about 10 years as an infantryman and achieved the rank of staff sergeant. In addition to numerous military schools, he supervised up to 250 soldiers from platoon to company-sized elements. And he also served on the general staff as a non-commissioned officer in charge of the NCOIC. In this position, he served as a liaison between the officers and enlisted personnel and gained extensive knowledge of military policies and procedures. And also, he was stationed stateside and, as I mentioned, Europe and also in Southwest Asia. Served together in Desert Storm. I have many military awards, but my highest award is the Bronze Star, which I received in Operation Desert Storm. And he went on to serve as in the Army Reserves for an additional 6 years. His time in the military taught him about working long, arduous hours and about determination and teamwork. After leaving active duty, he was hired by Union Pacific Railroad, and he's worked for UP for 25 years. He started on the railroad under the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Union in 1993 as a laborer, and from there he worked his way up from laborer to foreman. At this time he's overseeing, and the reason he's not here tonight, he oversees a lot of the railroad's very large construction projects, and there's a bridge that's out in Colorado right now. That bridge also shares the right-of-way with some fiber optic cables, which are out, and he's obviously got to take the time out to fix that. During this time, he traveled to Chicago, or from Chicago to L.A., and he is now in the supervisory position as construction coordinator for the Union Pacific's fiber optic program. And many of the programs that he oversees are multi-million-dollar projects that require extensive coordination to ensure that projects are completed safely, on budget, and in a timely manner. In 2008, he and his wife received the Family Achievement Award. They were recommended for this award by Uplift, and Uplift is a family advocacy program for families with students with special needs. He has helped families for many years navigate the individual education plan and the 504 plans in the school system, as well as the healthcare system in Wyoming. In fact, he has a daughter who has MS. My wife and I have spent a good deal of time, or his wife and he have spent a good deal of time over the years attending numerous conferences, which has given them an opportunity to learn new information and network with other families. He enjoys actively advocating for families of children with special needs and has used his knowledge to mentor other families through the same system. He takes pride in helping other families attain the same level of success that his children have achieved as a result of the advocacy and mentoring that they have received. He's a lifetime member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and he's held officer positions within the post, as well as being elected to the District 5 commander position. During his tenure as the District 5 commander, he worked to encourage teamwork among posts for the common goal of helping veterans, increasing membership and community involvement. And he was also the chief of staff for the VFW Department of Wyoming 2017 through 2018. This year he is also the judge advocate for the VFW, for the whole Department of Wyoming, which is, he's worked also on his homeowners association for many years, and he decided to run for House District 12 because he saw a decided lack of leadership in our House District and in the legislature in general in these difficult times. He says, our state is facing difficult fiscal challenges unlike anything we have seen in the past, and I see these challenges as a direct result of lackadaisical leadership in the legislature. Our legislature has passed important bills intended to help the citizens of Wyoming, but has fallen short of following up to ensure that they have been implemented as intended. Many of our state agencies haven't been audited in many years, and obviously if agencies haven't been audited and know they aren't going to be audited, that's a big chance to waste money. And he believes that by auditing these agencies which have not been audited, we'll find quite a bit of waste and be able to tighten up the reins a bit and save money in our state. I believe the transparency in government is lacking, which has also added additional problems to these difficult times. It's critical to elect a leader with integrity and vision, and I believe Clarence possesses the skills needed to be that leader. He'll work with other representatives to ensure that families navigate the broken healthcare system in Wyoming. He wants unwavering support of our Constitution, fiscal responsibility, accountability, transparency in government, bipartisanship, partnerships, and he has a strong record of volunteerism and service, not only in our community but to our country. He's been a strong advocate for others. He stands on a strong Republican platform for the success of House District 12, the legislature, and the state of Wyoming, and would appreciate your support in being elected to House District 12. Thank you, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and to our special guests.
Thank you so much. All right, since you guys are going to answer the rest of the questions, you have to do your bio in 2 minutes. So let's start with Mr. Guthrie. 2 minutes, who you are, why you're running, what you hope to do.
Oh, well, that's a lot in 2 minutes. Why don't I just start with who I am? I've lived here in Wyoming since 1993 after I got out of law school. I came here because when I was a child, we used to come out here and backpack, and I really enjoyed my experience out here. So I thought it'd be a good fit. And in Colorado, there were, hundreds of people taking the bar, and there were only 70 people taking the bar in Wyoming. And I thought I could maybe be something here. There weren't very many of us that passed the bar that year. And so I opened up my own shop, and that didn't really work out all that great, just by myself. And so I took a job with the Public Defender's Office in 1994. I did 15 years of fighting for your rights in the courtrooms throughout this state. I took a lot of pride in that. I had to quit in the end because of my experience is different than the gentleman that just spoke, if you will, and I didn't find a lot of waste in my budget. I didn't find the people I was working with wasting money or not working hard. I couldn't do 150 open cases at one time anymore, and I had to look myself in the mirror, and so I opened up my own law practice 2.5 years ago. And I've also got an art gallery that I run downtown and a studio. I think we can get to the issues in a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Great. Mr. Lindsay.
Well, good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Wyoming Tribune-Eagle for putting on this forum. I do appreciate it. I was born just over the hill in Laramie, Wyoming. I've spent most of my career as a massage therapist here, and I've spent my entire career in nursing here. I decided to run for the state legislature because, quite simply, I love my state. This is my home. This is where I met and married my beautiful wife, Tiffany, who's been my partner ever since we met. And I care very deeply about the future of this state. And I want to bring an inside perspective on healthcare to the state legislature. Along with this, I also want to invest in our education system. Wyoming wouldn't be what it is without a solid education system, and I've absolutely dissatisfied with the way the state legislature has cut that budget. Today I went to 2 schools in my district. I went to Afflebon Elementary and Johnson Junior High. I have one more school to visit in the district and I'll be done. But the stories I've heard from those teachers and those principals causes me a great deal of fear for the future of Wyoming's education system. I also want to work to bring jobs to Wyoming. I am the only candidate in this race that's been endorsed by both the Greater Chamber of Commerce and several labor organizations. I want to protect public lands. I am a hunter. I am a fisherman. I am someone who recreates. Oftentimes, Tiffany has to drag me out of the house to go to trail run, but thank you, Tiffany, for doing that. And then lastly, I want to invest in Wyoming communities. Not just money, although money is needed, but also resources. We need to build up Wyoming communities so that they are always the kinds of places where people work together when help is needed and celebrate when the work is done. Thank you very much.
Great. So let's get to the issues. At a meeting yesterday in Casper, lawmakers heard a presentation about the Wyoming Department of Transportation, which is now facing millions of dollars in funding needs. The state has also continued to struggle with finding money to support education. And I'm sure, as both of you know, under the current system, much of the state's revenue comes from mineral extraction, sales, and property value. How specifically, and I bolded and underlined that, would you address the state's budget needs and mitigate the effects of the current boom and bust cycle? And since we started with Mr. Guthrie last time, we'll start with Mr. Lindsay this time. You have a minute and a half.
A minute and a half to fix Wyoming's budget. Okay, let's get to this. Well, you asked for specifics. So specifically, the short-term solution for a lot of these funding problems is the LSRA. That legislative stabilization reserve account that is often referred to as some golden cow that cannot be touched for any reason whatsoever. We can use it to shore up emergency shortfalls in our budget, but that's just a short-term fix. We can't keep doing that for everything, because if we do, eventually we won't have anything left in that account, and that's not what it's there for. It's not there for long-term solutions. The long-term solutions are twofold. One, diversify our economy into things like valued added products, creating our own energy and selling that rather than just selling off our raw materials at lower prices. And then secondly, we have to diversify our tax structure so that the companies that take part in that and also take part in the wind and solar sectors that are coming into our state contribute in a meaningful way to our budget. And that is how we break out of the boom and bust state. As long as we are 50, 60, 70% reliable for our income on mineral and gas extraction, we will continue to be a boom and bust state. So let's get out of this.
Great. Mr. Guthrie.
One thing I can comment on is in walking around town and meeting people is I met one of the engineers that works at the Department of Transportation, and he did highlight the need or the disrepair that our roads and bridges are in. So this is a real problem. It's not something that we can just act like it isn't a problem. We've got to come up with real solutions to this. In the late 60s, Democrats ran on a platform of taxation of the mineral industry in terms of a severance tax. That was rejected and lampooned by the Republicans running at the time, that it would never happen and it was going to be bad for the state. The state was broke. We delayed way too long taxation of the minerals industry in terms of the severance tax, and it's hurt the state to this day. I'm not suggesting that the mineral industry today needs to carry a larger burden of what's going on. They're doing their fair share. However, specifically, what are we going to do? We're going to have to look at taxation on higher incomes. We're going to have to look at taxation upon gasoline. We're going to have to look at taxation on cigarettes and alcohol, taxation on marijuana. Those things could bring in additional income. It's the reality. My opponent said that we can't afford to kick the can down the road anymore, and that's all that's been happening for a long time. We cannot spend the money that's in those accounts. We need to save that money so that the interest is there for the future. And we need to deal with Wyoming's problems today.
Great. You'll have 30 more seconds if you would like to add anything. No?
I think it's covered.
Okay. Great. So the legislature has obviously made a lot of decisions over eons. But what decision by the legislature over the past few years would you personally, as a lawmaker, like to revisit? Either a failed bill that you'd like to see adopted or something that was passed that you'd like to reconsider? One or two things that you would like to fix. Mr. Guthrie.
Wyoming's legacy as it relates to the discrimination issues is, I can't help but think about